Salutations, everyone! I'm now going to do the obligatory test to make sure that everything is a-okay. So I get confirmation that I am coming across clearly. I've got confirmation, so I'm good to go. Okay, welcome to everybody to another EoJ Talks. We've been having so many of these recently. Kind of remarkable. Obviously, last time I had the wonderful PR team lead Trenton on. And this time, I decided to bring on another one of the, shall we say, alumni from the PR team lead position, but way more than just that. Today, my guest is the one and only Jarvy Jared. Jarvy, hello.
Oh. I'm not sure how to introduce myself because you kind of stole that from me with that. Great. Hey guys, I totally have a script. But yeah, hi, I'm Jarvy Jared. Everyone knows that. I'm the team leader of the writers and musicians, and also the former lead of the PR team before Trenton from BoJ took over. And I'm really happy to be here, G. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, lovely to have you here, mate. So, for those of you who've never seen an EoJ Talks, this is a show where we basically just talk. I know, original, very highbrow stuff, very intellectually stimulating premise that. But obviously, each person has a different history to bring, and each person has different experiences. So, if you are interested in learning a bit more about dear old Jarvy, stick around for this stream because you will get the opportunity to ask a question. And to do that, you need to join our Discord channel. So, yeah, if you are interested in learning a bit more and have a burning question, make sure you're in the Discord channel, be the stage channel, which is located at the bottom of the fan server. But before I can let you all loose on Jarvy, I need my fair share, because it's fair to say that there's a lot of questions that I'm sure we all would like to ask, and I've got a fair amount of them myself ready. So, Jarvy, if you're ready, let me grill you a few times, shall I?
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Totally. I'm ready.
Oh, you better be ready.
I'm slowly waking up. I have got 2 of my 3 brain cells all firing in succession. I am so ready.
Perfect. Well, let's start with a nice simple question. So, obviously you're in EoJ, but you must have come across EoJ at some point. So my first question is, where did you first see EoJ? Or how did you find out about it?
So I think the funny thing about that is I'm not even an OG fan. Like the first video came out like 2014, 2015, I think around that time. And it was only around 2015 that I really became a fan of, My Little Pony. I didn't even discover Turnabout Storm until a little bit after that. And then because EoJ had just come out, that's when I discovered EoJ. And I basically just stumbled across it because I finished watching through Turnabout Storm for the first time. I was like, oh, this is really neat. I just finished 5-4. And then, on the feed, on the side, YouTube was saying, hey, here's this new video that we think, I guess, would be relevant to your search history. And it was the first episode of EoJ. So I was in high school. I had a bit of free time after doing all my homework. And I was like, okay, 50 minutes. This isn't going to be too bad. And I went and watched it. And basically, that's how I found out about this was the whole thing. And the funny thing and kind of sad thing is, a couple years passed before I thought about it again, to be completely honest, because I think, I was so caught up in the whole, oh my god, Pony is so cool thing. I didn't even return to EoJ until, the call for help came out, and I remembered that, oh, I watched this video a couple of years ago. Wow, that's wild. And that's how I basically just came across it. Nothing particularly spectacular or, faded, as they might say, but sometimes the most domestic things are pretty interesting in that way.
Oh, intentional, wasn't it? You cheeky one, you.
A little bit. I'm waking up. I'm gonna put puns every now and then into my speech.
I'm preparing to go to bed, so we are a right pair of opposites, aren't we? You're waking up. I'm going to get ready for bed after this. Truly, we live on different sides of the planet. But it's always fascinating to learn how people get here, and even more fascinating to think that you, someone who precedes even my joining of the team, was, for lack of a better term, not a diehard, or someone who was there from day one.
For sure, yeah. It's one of those weird things where it really was just chance. I can't even remember how I came across Turnabout Storm. It must have been the same time that I came across just Ace Attorney as a thing. I was watching. Oh god, I don't know the dude's channel. It was a Let's Player who played through the first Ace Attorney game and was doing a live dub with his friend. And that's how I got introduced to Ace Attorney. And I think that somehow led to Turnabout Storm. But again, this was like in 2015, 2014. So like a couple years after Turnabout Storm already ended. And it just happened that EoJ came out when it came out. And it just, appeared on my feed. It's a weird coincidence. But as Granny Smith likes to say, coincidences are just the world's levers and pulleys showing themselves for what they are. He quotes from 3-1. He memorized 3-1.
The whole of that script, aren't you? And be impressed if you get the whole script done before the end of this EoJ talk. Very impressed.
Give me $20 and I'll totally attempt it.
Oh no, not another sellout. I've already had enough of those.
Julius
I'm going to move on.
I gotta, hey, gotta put one in. I'll do anything for money in the name of Julius Gemstone.
You're all liabilities to me. You know what? Speaking of liability, you obviously must have found yourself thinking EoJ was some form of, let's say, time sink, because you obviously became a fan. You mentioned that you kind of found MLP, Turnabout Storm at relatively similar point. But when did you start considering yourself an actual fan of EoJ, or when do you think you kind of finally realized, oh boy, I'm going to commit 5 years of my life to this thing?
That's a good question. I honestly think it was probably the time that I applied. EoJ was just a thing that I came across. I watched it once and I was like, cool. And then I didn't think about it again because high school was busy and I had to go to college. So it wasn't until sophomore year of college that, the call came out. I saw the video asking for it. And I remember that, I watched this thing a while ago. I watched it again, realized that, this could use some help. And that was basically when I said, I think I'm a fan, ? I'd like to apply. And I did. And I did not anticipate that I'd be here for this long. I was talking to James the other day, and I think you saw this. He made his Discord account in 2019 of April, which was around the same time that I know that we joined the initial small team that was the initial build-up. Which means come this April, I've been on this production for 5 years. I've been here longer than I've been in college. That's so weird. That's just. But yeah, that would be when I discovered that I guess I'm a fan. I don't even know if I really want to use that term here because it's weird to say that you're a fan of something that you're making because you are, but there's a slight difference in how you apply that term. I should think when you're a fan of something, it's almost a passive experience. You receive. It's all you are the object of the product itself, the thing that receives it. When you're making the product, you better be a fan of it because if you don't, you're kind of a hater of your own stuff, and that's just weird, But I don't know if I really consider myself a fan in the traditional sense, but I am someone who does enjoy working on EoJ in the same capacity.
There's different ways of enjoying content, and you found your niche or your specialism / your part to play, shall we say.
You'll play your part. And now we're copyright struck. Sorry.
It's only up to 5 seconds. It's fine. You somehow avoided the worst case scenario. Unlike what happened with Trenton last week where we tried.
Well, hopefully there are no technical difficulties that lead to you pulling that again. So
that was maybe slightly bad. Who knows? So you've kind of already answered the next question I was going to ask, but I might as well ask it anyway. So you became a fan the moment you applied. Was that was that application, that call to arms, that initial, hey, we've got this, we need assistance, Was that something that you were happy about because it had fulfilled something you were interested in doing for a while, or really was it just a spur of the moment? It sounds like a spur of the moment, but I'd be curious to know.
It kind of was. Trying to think back, because again, that was 5 years ago. That might have been, let me think. I graduated high school and went to college in 2018, 2019. Yeah, so it's like 5 years ago when I did that. I distinctly remember it was in the fall semester of sophomore year of college. So it really was more of a spur of a moment thing for me, because at the time I was just kind of like, I want to do something else other than school. You know, I already had an on-campus job. I was part of some clubs. I had a couple of responsibilities, but I was like, I needed, something fun, something interesting. And I haven't even told anybody this, but like when I initially saw the video asking for help, I think I hesitated for a good week from like applying. I actually talked to my roommates about it, saying like, do you think I could do this? Do you think it'd be worth it? Because the main thing that was holding me back was, I didn't think I had a lot of experience that would be applicable. I've only ever played, up until that point, the Ace Attorney trilogy. I've never played any of Dual Destinies or Spirit of Justice or Investigation or Apollo Justice. Obviously, the Great Ace Attorney didn't even come out yet, in the States. This is an Ace Attorney series, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, do I even have the knowledge of the franchise in order to do that in any sufficient capacity? So I hesitated there. I also hesitated because even though I was a fan of My Little Pony, I sort of fell off around like season 7, end of season 7, mostly because of life and college and everything getting in the way. And I hadn't even watched some of the earlier seasons in so long that I didn't really remember, what had happened. So it was a weird case where, as I was considering applying, I was also thinking about all the reasons why I should be disqualified from applying, because no scriptwriting experience, no negligible Ace Attorney experience, and middling at best pony experience. Also, like, I don't have any like profile or resume. I have some stories that I could show that shows proof of experience of writing. But even then, I was kind of like, is that even going to qualify me? And the test was asking for proofreaders. What proof did I have that I could be a good proofreader? And I mean, middling at best, but but it ended up being a sort of like, well, the worst that could happen is that you don't get it. So I said, okay, I'll put in my details. I think I even wrote in the submission on the sheet, it basically was like, why you think that you should join? I literally wrote, I don't think I have the experience that would necessitate being part of this production, but I would like to give it an honest go. And I still somewhat got accepted into the initial, submission process. So sometimes it turns out that things work out well that way. Other times you're just kind of like, oh. But yeah, that's basically, why it was more of a spur of the moment, deciding to go into that. Obviously, I spent a week thinking about it, but this isn't just, go ahead and put my details in. That was definitely more of a, well, what's the worst that could go wrong? Didn't really think too much about it afterwards. Especially since I didn't think about my application until I got the email saying, you have been selected to take the initial test. Oh, okay. Whoa, I forgot that I did this, so I had to do that first. And that was just the initial test to like eliminate, I think, like the first, oh god, how many people did apply? Hang on. 70 people, I think, applied to the initial proofreader position. And that was before the test got sent out. After the test, I think a good half of those 70 dropped out because I didn't even actually respond to the test. Yeah. Now, thankfully, I wasn't one of them, obviously, because I'm still here somehow. But yeah, like, half of them dropped out. So that's like, what, 30 people gone, even like 30, 35 people left. We did the test. And then I think for like the next couple of months, I forgot that I even took the test. This is really funny that I forget a lot of things, apparently. And then, I got the email one day. I don't even remember. I think it was like in the summer. even something like that. And the email said that, hey, you are one of the 5 people who we've accepted to join EoJ. And I was like, wait, what's EoJ again? So I had to go and search it up in my email thread, and I was like, oh yeah, I did that once. Oh, wait, I got in? Whoa, okay. Cool. And that was, that was before we had the whole servers and everything. But that was just like you make a lot of submissions in, I would compare it to like job hunting, right? You send out a whole lot of applications and then you forget. It's really nice when someone gets back to you and says that you got accepted. It's really awkward, however, when you forget that you applied. So you kind of be like, oh, okay, that's really great. Thank you. And then privately you're like, wait, what did I apply for? Wait, is this still what I want to do?
The moment where success begets regret. Love it.
Something like that.
No, I do appreciate the whole fire and forget mentality and sort of see where it goes, which is interesting because I mean, where we think you are today, where you are today, I should say, is in a position of leadership for the whole writing process, and also arguably as well assisting myself, Soundman, and everyone else in the drafting of the story direction as a whole. So, again, you've touched upon a few of the questions later, but it's interesting that you felt that the main criteria that would reject you would be things such as not having enough knowledge of the show or never having done this before. It's very, I suppose it's fascinating from my perspective because obviously this is very much a non-professional but very professional. Well, at the time it wasn't as much of a professional organization as it is now, and I'm curious to know why you felt those things were so important. But equally, like, what it caused you to think about what you could contribute. Because obviously if you felt, oh, I don't have this, what did you think you were going to then bring when you got the opportunity? What was the sort of unique selling point?
Yeah,
this isn't a question that I prepared you with, but I want to dig into
you
a little bit now.
One. What did I think I would bring? I guess like the main thing I thought was I'll bring an editorial background. If I was not confident in the ability to create content for this series, then I could at least do the other necessary thing, which is cleaning it up at the very least. Again, I took because the submission specifically called for proofreading, I took that as literally you're just going to be a copy editor, which in the industry is just someone who basically line edits, checks for grammar, punctuation, formatting style, that sort of thing. They're not really specialized in content creation, creative writing, storytelling, that sort of thing. I was already doing that because at the time, I was actually working as a consultant at my college's Center for Reading and Writing, which in essence was a kind of tutor. I would help read over essays, and if you've ever read a college essay or written one, you know that some of them can be pretty challenging, especially if you have no prior experience with, that degree or level of writing, or that degree of composition, honestly. But I had that experience. I had that sense of, okay, I can look at a manuscript, mark it up, point out what seems to be working, what doesn't seem to be working. I can do that sort of housework, I guess is a nice way to put it, or housekeeping. And I figured that, hey, if I really don't think or have that much confidence in my ability to, create Ace Attorney content or Pony content, then at least I can help in this one way. So, I was pretty happy to do that in the initial 2 years that I was part of the production. how long did case 1 take? Wait, 1 to 6 months, and then 1-3, and then another couple of months before 2-1. Yeah, about 6 to 8 months seems like how long it took for me to go from proofreader to like semi-less proofreader, more involved in the writing process. But yeah, like it was a bit of an interesting battle for me because at the time I was content. At the time I was also thinking about how busy I am with college, right? So it made sense more logistically to admit I don't think I can get more involved because I don't have that freedom yet. However, I do want to still be involved. So let me work on the script in this way. Let me edit. Let me add comments. I won't do much of the planning. I'll read over stuff and read, my thoughts. But beyond that, I'm happy to just sort of be at the end of that process. It gives us another pair of eyes. It helps the other writers out. And, it won't overexert me as it will.
That's all very sensible thinking. All very selfless as well, which is very, very much appreciated. And something that is definitely...
Yeah, and obviously didn't stick.
Yeah, we've definitely had moments where our influences have unfortunately corrupted this thing into a wonderful, wonderful madness that it is. So, yeah, humble beginnings, as they always say. But obviously, when it comes to contributing, there's a moment where you're designing, where you're creating, and then there's a moment where it also comes out and it's released. So when the first episode was released, that you knew you contributed to in some meaningful way, and actually, a bit of a secondary question about which episode do you think you contributed to the most before case? So how did you feel when that episode was that?
Which episode do I feel I contribute to the most before Case 3?
And, how did that make you feel?
See, I'm so tempted to just say 2-3 because of the 40 pages of Sakura lines, but that's such a meme answer. And, I don't want to necessarily sully the question with a joke. I would say probably 2-9. It's an easy answer, but I said this in the DC with James and everyone. 2-9 was very much where I was definitely, before Case 3, the most involved I'd ever been. I handled a lot of the drafting alongside James and Destro, our former lead of the writers. I helped with fleshing out some of the more questionable character moments that were kind of flat in the initial run, and of course, with James's help, I broke hearts with Fair Devotion and Turning Page's little farewell. And also, I broke Shannon's heart with the whole, exactly why, with Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle. And also just, fleshing out and finishing essentially the character arc that we had started to do for Athena, even back in 2-3, by having her last little speech towards Fair Devotion occurring. In terms of how that made me feel, I think the best way to put it is relieved, in a way. I don't think it's an understatement, and I don't think you would contest this point to say the latter half of Case 2 was difficult. We had a lot of shakeups, we had a lot of difficulty just not only creating the content and getting it out there, but just internally, there was a big, I guess, shift in the general tone and strategy and environment that we found ourselves in. And I felt that a lot. I had my qualms with 2-3 and 2-4. 2-5 felt like a nice fresh breath. I can talk of fresh breath of fresh air. No, wait. What? Breath of fresh air. That's the phrase. I can tell. I can speak. I swear. And because it was a soft episode, it was we're getting away from the mess that was 2-3 and 2-4 for a little moment. But, there were still some wounds that we wanted to patch up. And we had new people coming in. We had old people who were taking on a lot more responsibility. Overall, the latter half of Case 2 was inundated with, I guess, the burden of responsibility, the sense of, we have to change something. And we have to prove that in changing it, we can succeed as we do. When 2-9 came out, then for me, it was a sign that, okay, we survived this, right? We survived the shakeups, the changes, the difficulties. And in a way, I survived it. There was we're going to get into some interesting territory here. There was a moment in, I think, 2-4, the initial stages of it, where there was so much difficulty on my end. that I was like, I could walk. I could leave legitimately and I wouldn't like it, but I thought that this is going down a direction that I don't like. The answer to that problem, though, was to get more involved, right? You have to be your own advocate in some ways. And that led to me getting more involved with 2.5 and 2.6, getting even more involved with 2.7 and 2.8, and then obviously doing a lot of content creation for 2.9. In a way, then, the relief that I felt post 2.9 was the relief that my getting more involved, my becoming a more proactive member of EoJ, wasn't just not in vain, but it was also wholly justified. Because you put a lot in terms of stakes when you decide for yourself, I'm going to do this thing. It's not just the act of doing it that bears that responsibility. It is the act of believing that you can and should do that. When you take on that responsibility, you have responsibility not just to perform the act, but continue believing that you had every right to. And I was at a crisis where I didn't know if that would be the case until 2.9 happened. Until I could say that, okay, this was not a mistake for me to do. My lack of experience aside, I helped make something that we can be proud of. And I think that's a victory in and of itself.
I'm not sure there's anything I can really add to that, to be honest. I think you've quite eloquently said everything that needs to be said about it.
I'm a writer. What can I say?
I mean, to be fair, writers don't necessarily speak. That's the voice actor role.
The voice actors and I have an interesting relationship where I make them say lines, and then I'm like, I shouldn't have made you say those lines because they're kind of oof. We don't have to talk about it, right?
Sussy back a moment. Like, there are some very selective choices of words that have been thrown into the script. I mean, I can't necessarily blame you. I've made my own fair share of disgustingly and delightfully devilish content, but trying to not kind of move away from the impactfulness of what you said. Yeah, it's important to remember what you have, but the fight and will to keep going on. And luckily, as you say, both you and I, we're here. We're still standing.
We are.
Good song.
I think you and I have probably, I hope this isn't too arrogant of me to say, G, but I think out of a lot of the members of the team, I think you and I have changed the most from our initial position. I mean, obviously, you're the director. That's self-explanatory. But, I went from copy editor to I lead 2 teams now. And as you say, I help with the story development for EoJ. That's a big change, just logistically speaking. And I think it's pretty amazing that 2 of us who kind of joined with, one goal in mind, and there's like what we thought we'd be doing, are now doing different things, in essence. And it's pretty weird and pretty wild to think about.
You're actually having to think about it as well, because, yeah, you're not wrong. So much has changed. And that is, I don't want to take away from the fact that this is your EoJ talk, so I won't reminisce too much down my own memory lane. But yeah, initially starting out with the insane idea that I could potentially voice act, to then having to concede that people like Optic and Pretzel had a much stronger capacity for that, and then taking up post as an audio engineer before being like, I really want to do PR. Which also, actually, now that I mentioned PR, does bring us a little bit to the EoJ section. It's, sort of perfectly scripted. When we think about places like BoJ, things that were outside and even traditional, but more so BoJ, what encouraged you to assist in that area? I know that I reached out due to internal concerns, so research management at the time didn't have the ability to assist were able to assist. But then afterwards, I relied more and more on what encouraged you to take up and engage with it, especially EoJ 1.5, something that arguably EoJ is not central. Try to make it central. A lot of folks things that are important, most what's the term? What drive things forward? So get results, achieve the main product. So what encouraged you to engage with the side project? What was your motivation?
Right. Actually, sorry, I'm reading chat here. They're saying, "Gee, your audio is breaking up." So that's always a good thing.
I love having audio connections that should potentially fix itself.
Should clear up. Am I coming in? It sounds like I'm coming in.
Is it really breaking up? Give me 1 second, everybody. It should be fine. Nothing has changed.
I'd like to point out to everyone, I've been on this production for almost 5 years. I've never gone anywhere in any way without someone experiencing, if not me, but someone else experiencing an audio issue. I'm starting to wonder what the common denominator is. It may be me, but it may be G. So, I'm fine.
You're fine. That's the key thing. You are fine. Am I fine?
Well,
Hello,
I'll reiterate
people. How
the
am I
question.
sounding? Jarvy is an
Jarvy
SCP.
is an SCP. Thanks, Inc. That's also much better. Cool. All right. So the question,
Also, Maria, thank you very much for the donation. So she has done it. She has broken the seal, and has released the demon of Jarvy hates. Sorry, no, it's the opposite way around. Maria hates Jarvy. Why does Maria hate you, Jarvy?
He hates me. She hates me. She hates me. She drew that, and she hates me.
I had this prepared, waiting for the moment someone was to go and ask that question.
And
so,
of course it's Maria. Of course it's Maria. Why would it not be? She hates me. She despises my guts.
She does. She absolutely despises me.
Well,
Why?
to get back onto the topic, G, you asked what made you want to keep contributing to BoJ beyond just, consultation, actually taking the lead of it? That's what you asked?
So yeah, what encouraged you to stick with BoJ as the side series, even though it's not the most essential thing?
Well, I think two things. One, it's closer to what I'm more used to in terms of story. Again, I cite my middling experience with Ace Attorney as, the main thing that, kept me from doing more or kept me from thinking that I can do more. But I know character. I've written a couple of stuff. I've even got a couple of things published in not just my school's literary magazine, but a couple other places. I can write a story where it's not about logic. I can write a story where it's not about murder. It's not about courtroom antics. I can write a story that isn't an Ace Attorney story. BoJ was kind of that. It's basically a more character-focused form of storytelling. And I thought that, I think I have a pretty decent sense of what that means. And I can at the very least help with just fleshing it out, giving ideas about what we want to do with that, and just giving a sense of organization for it. So really the first reason for why I wanted to keep doing it was because this is the material that I'm comfortable with. This is, if I was not applying to be a proofreader, I probably would have applied, had the position existed, as a Bonds of Justice writer, because I wouldn't have to rely on being a, Ace Attorney dude. I could just say that I know how to write character, just tell me what you want and I'll give you something, right? The second reason, though, was because it kind of ties into the first. I sensed that there was a lot more things we could do that we weren't doing with EoJ that I wanted to do. One of them was 1.5, BoJ 1.5, Scootaloo's Heart. We set that up, in 2.1, 2.2. Yeah, it's been a while, God. And then nothing happened. There wasn't really a sense that things were happening or going to happen within the writer's room. We had floated around some ideas, but no actual concrete sort of direction or story or wrap up for that particular subplot. And it wasn't going to happen because we were too busy focusing on who killed Royal Order, not about, the other victims, in essence. And I thought that, what, if we're not going to do it in EoJ, I said I think twice, whoops. I think we can do it in BoJ. And obviously it wouldn't happen for a little while, but I figured that, well, if BoJ is meant to be this story-driven opportunity to explore the relationships between characters, the bonds, it's in the name, I thought that, there's something there. It would be worth contributing, if only to have the chance to do something that I think would be really nice. and even just a chance. I mean, there is no guarantee it would ever happen. But sometimes, that is the nature of storytelling. Most of it is just an act of faith. You don't know if the idea that you have is going to pan out, but you have to want to try. And I think that's what compelled me. It was the sense that I have the freedom to want to try. I'm not held back by my limitations, even the ones that admittedly probably aren't even really limitations. Here's something that I can play around with. Here's something that I can, in a way, apply my experience to. Outside of the burden of having to make another trial episode, in essence, I can write something that is nicer. I don't want to say cleaner, but it's less shout heavy, because there's a lot of shouting in these courtroom trials, and more reliant on just the simple belief I have that compelling characters create compelling narratives. And if you can do that in even a short scene or a short episode, that defines and justifies the work more than any perfect bout of logic that you can come up with. I mean, we're not writing an essay, for God's sake. We're writing stories. And in my view, the only way to write a story is by trying to make it as compelling as possible. And BoJ represented that opportunity for me.
So if BoJ, gave you that opportunity to offer more character-driven, make a story, as you say, what do you think has been the biggest improvement from Case 1 and Case 2 that you have tried to implement, or what have you done to try and lead it more towards the BoJ experience without it, taking away from what EoJ, the main series, is ultimately trying to do, which is tell an overarching story, mystery series? What do you think? I'm trying to combine two questions here because I feel like they mix together, but what do you think you have done as a team leader to make that happen, or help improve upon from Case 1 and Case 2? If that's what made you join BoJ, or what motivates you to do BoJ?
It's a good question. I need to think about that for a moment because I have a couple of ideas how to answer it. All right, we'll start here. Firstly, it's the fact, I'll use that term loosely, it's the fact that when I became team leader of the writers, I came in with a primary goal that preceded what we eventually started doing. The primary goal was to basically combine the mediums of storytelling that I had experience with our current medium in an attempt to effect some particular phenomenon or pathos or ethos around our story, which is a lot of buzzwords to basically say, I want us to pull from the grammar of cinema and prose and try to make the scripts not a garbage, boring mess, in essence. And I think that if you look at the script just in terms of just the structure and how it's literally written line by line, not just in how it presents itself physically and visually, but also how it presents itself emotionally, you can see that we're pulling from more than just our old way of writing. We're pulling from, I'm quoting an author named Carlos Ruiz Zafón, a late author of Spain. He pulled from what he called the grammar of cinema too, where he took how you write cinema and put it into his books of prose. I therefore take how we write prose and try to apply it to our own script writing, and that gives us a certain meat, a certain aura, if you want to use that term, that makes the scripts a little more compelling, not only to read, but then also to turn into visual format. So that would be like the first contribution that I wanted to make. And so then like how I've taken my experience from BoJ and translated into, this, what we do with the writing team. I think it comes down to, I'm going to quote some guy, you don't know him. You may know him, actually. He's pretty famous in the UK. Raymond Chandler?
Chandler seems familiar, but I think that's because I know of a different Chandler. But maybe if you fire off the quote. Who knows? It may have been
I'm
there
gonna
somewhere in my
paraphrase.
lizard brain. Paraphrase, all right.
Yeah, so I'm going to paraphrase for you. Raymond Chandler, one, he's the hard-boiled fiction writer, 1930s, 1940s, I think. Created the character Philip Marlowe, Private Eye. He's known for such books as The Big Sleep, The Long Goodbye. I won't get into his whole bibliography. But he said that, and I'm paraphrasing him generally here, people don't care for cookie-cutter mysteries. You know, they don't actually care about puzzles because people aren't puzzles. While that is, you know, a staple of the genre of fiction, Chandler's argument was characters or people are going to care more about, let's say, you got this man who's sitting at a desk and he's going to die in the next scene. And it's all set up so that you know exactly that he is literally going to be shot dead in the next scene. But what's more compelling about that isn't who shoots him, but if in that scene that precedes his death, you have him trying to grab this paperclip off the ground, and it keeps getting out of his reach, it keeps bouncing away, and he keeps struggling to get it, and it's just this weird tug and pull of him trying to get what he wants and being unable to get it. That sort of compulsion, that sort of honing in on this weird quirkiness of a character more than the fact that, oh, their character death is going to create the mystery, that sort of philosophy is what I've brought into the writing team. Mystery is not story. I think I want to highlight that point. It's not really story. It is a type of story, but it's not story itself. Nor are logic puzzles stories either. They're just puzzles. And while, you know, Golden Age detective fiction had a lot of locked room puzzle mysteries, and even today it's still pretty apparent in the genre itself, it is more interesting to identify with characters and more interesting to have a focus on characters than it is to focus on puzzles. And I think that's what I've essentially taken from my experience in BoJ and translating into EoJ. The mystery is there, but now it is not separate from the character. It's intertwined with character motivation, character compulsion, flaws, even outright contradictions. I mean, my whole belief really is that complicated mystery or complicated plot, garbage. It's not going to be great. You know, it cannot stand on its own. But if you have complicated characters, that allows you to create a non-artificial complicated plot. You can have a very simplistic plot that's made complicated by the virtuous fact that its characters are messy or flawed or just, you know, extraneous or weird or supernaturally inclined towards tragedy. That is how you create a story that outlasts, you know. A mystery story that has a locked room mystery, where the genius detective figures out who did it and why. What happens after that? You know, you figure out the mystery and you solved it. What happens after? Where does the story go? Can you go back to it? Not really. You can go back and try to experience the same puzzles and figure it out for your own, but, you know, there's no actual sense of material underneath. There's no subtext, there's no additional meaning, there's no greater meaning, at least one that doesn't feel as compelling as something that is more character driven.
It's always fascinating to listen to the inspirations you hold, because we share very similar beliefs when it comes to characterization. Though obviously I don't take it from a literary standpoint. I just go balls to the walls and write chaos. Or I wouldn't necessarily call it writing. I put stuff on the page and then you look at it and you go, gee, what does this mean? But it is always fascinating to kind of listen to what you have to say and understand the inner machinations of your own sort of madness.
I will admit it's a little complicated. And I'm essentially creating this, not only pseudo conflict, but I admit that what it makes it sound like is I'm dissing on that kind of storytelling. I mean, I'm not trying to. It is compelling in its own way. But if you look literally at the trend of just fiction post the golden age of detective fiction, there's a lot more focus on character these days. it's very hard to just find something there where there's just plot and where characters are these thin vessels that let the plot happen. The very nature of story as a thing that we create has simply navigated, even migrated to character focus. This is what I majored in, by the way. This is why I know this. This is the trend. And sometimes, when you're a writer, you just kind of follow the trend, even if you're unconscious of it. And I think that for us here, it makes sense to take that path of least resistance. I don't want to say that it's simpler or common or generic, but it is the one that is like the most humanistic in a way, the most natural. And that's why we do what we do.
Natural writing is better than artificial, if such a thing is defined in those ways. Well, I suppose modern technology, I suppose there's a very particular statement to make. But no, I can't help but agree in many instances. Though I will find, and I have to say this just purely because I'm not a literary guy, your heavy, what shall we say, encyclopedic knowledge of literary devices is often a very what's the term? What's the best way of putting this nicely? Because I want to put it nicely, but at the same time, I am not someone who usually cares so much for literary art, so it is always a fascinating conflict of perspective, shall we say. I'm very much a conversational writer. I don't care too much for the fancy stuff behind it.
Really valid. I will admit, before we start talking about like literary devices, my background, for one, I don't know if I've said this before. Well, okay, I'll give two backgrounds, I guess. I have had, before I joined EoJ, I had no experience with script writing. Literally none. I've never written a script. Well, I've read plays. I never wrote my own. I wasn't really interested in doing that for fun. When I wanted to write things, I wrote prose. And then as I got older, I was drawn more towards poetry. So my understanding of writing comes less from a script writing utilitarian perspective and more from admittedly the more superfluous, poetic, stylistic choices of, non-script writing. So when you say that you write or talk or prefer language in a more conversational tone, that's perfectly fine too, and I think that many writers do take that path. Admittedly for me, and I know that it is a bit of a contention, I aim for language that is a little not conversational. I can write a conversation, pretty okay, but I think even if you look at some of 2.9, but also 3.1 to 3.2, you can tell where my hand has been, because some of the writing there, it sounds more than just dialogue, I guess is the way I put it. And admittedly, that can be a little bit of like, wow, it's really poetic. This is supposed to be an Ace Attorney x MLP crossover. Why are we talking about it in this way? But yeah, that it is a bit of an interesting dilemma. The conflict between wanting to be poetic and also realizing you can't be poetic 100% of the time, because then you're not telling the story.
So true. So true. Art needs to take a backseat for the narrative, which, can sometimes be a bit of a difficult one.
Obviously.
It's never easy. It's never easy having to backstep, so to speak, on things. But that's where the fun is, and we've had many good conversations about where things need to go, where things have to happen, and we keep having those good conversations as well, which is even better. The nice thing about an open writers team, which I'm sure we've both made comments to about many a time before, is that we are always probing. We're always checking.
I think when I took up the charge, I was like, okay, so besides, bringing in the grammar of cinema and, these literary latest terms, general behavior, let's just be fucking open. I'm tired of keeping secrets. I'm awful at keeping secrets. Now, anyway. I think, what was it? We had a couple of new people join at some point, and we were in a call, And then I just started talking about case 3, and they were like, "Wait, are these spoilers?" And I was like, "Oh dang, these are spoilers for the entirety of case 3 and 4 and 5." And then I was like, screw it. Why be secretive of it? If I want to have fun, if I want to celebrate the story that we are going to be telling, why be secretive? I should celebrate it. I should say that you guys are going to be part of a story that's actually good. I want you to feel as excited as I am. And if that means that I can talk to you about X, Y, or Z event or character, and it kind of spoils the plans we have, well, what's the worst that you're going to do? Spoil it? It doesn't change the fact that the story's going to be told. And if you spoil it, that says more about you than me. And that will be what you have to carry. But if I have to hold it in as a secret, because, I don't know why anything was kept a secret, to be honest, that's a bit of a failure on my part. We're working on a team. We have to communicate. It doesn't make any sense to just keep things to yourself because you're like, well, what if they leak it? This isn't high school. This is the real world. And we're part of a professional, I guess we're a semi-professional production like this. Like, I know that a closed mouth doesn't attract flies, is the idiom, but a closed mouth also doesn't invite communication. It doesn't invite bonds. And with these kinds of long-scale productions, you need that more than you need secrets.
Very true. No, it has been instrumental in getting things focused. I mean, even now, doing my best whilst mildly inebriated, trying to avoid spilling too many secrets. Things for future episodes are being crafted by, say, Bruno, the team leader of the editors, the video editors. An idea on something for an episode that, we didn't have necessarily a full plan. Just here we go. He's got understanding of where we're going. Boom, here's an idea on how we're going to present this particular thing. What that particular thing is, you will have to wait and find out, everybody, because I haven't had enough of these yet to reveal that part. But that's what you get. That is the benefit. You get unique ideas. You get solutions. And agree with you on the fact that there wasn't really much of a reason to hide things. And I think most of the sad truth is, and this is a bit of a divulging fact, it was scary how much was hidden from within the writing team itself in many instances.
Yeah, that's not good. And speaking as one of the members in the original... God, and the funny thing about this whole thing, right? I was kept from the dark for a lot of things. I was also one of the members who kind of willingly kept himself in the dark for the longest time because I was just a proofreader. I was like, I don't need to know plot, right? I don't need to know what the heck the story we're telling. And then as we needed me to do more, I found out that there were things I just didn't know, like that 40 pages is a quarter lines. That's a bitter point.
Yeah.
The writing needed to be revamped, and I'm happy that my efforts to do that have paid off. And I hope they continue to.
It has definitely, I think overall, things have definitely improved. I'd like to say that. But of course, I am always welcome for someone to object to said position within the team. But I'd like to think that transparency has improved, and as a result, the whole team slash what would you say, dynamic? Yeah, dynamic has as a result become more effective. But that, I think, is a really deep discussion that probably we can have maybe a bit more if someone asked about it, because I'm sure there may be a question or two about, like, how deep does this rabbit hole of chaos that we endure go? But we'll get around to that when we get around to it. I have one more question before I let the audience loose on you, and that is, I suppose, a more positive one to leave off on that. What has been the most rewarding or fulfilling experience you felt as a member of production?
Can I say this? I don't know if I'm allowed to, because spoilers. How
big of a spoiler is it?
Are we talking about published stuff, or are we talking about just overall anything?
I mean,
in which case that can be very vague.
I trust your sensibilities not to reveal everything on stream. You haven't had as much as I've had to drink, so go for it. Just yeah.
Right. Okay. I will quote this in strangely nebulous language, and I'll give you a little wink because it'll be a trade secret between us. Probably the most rewarding thing has been the chance to write a particular kind of story with a certain particular theme about certain particular pieces of a story. I didn't have that freedom going in. Admittedly, I do want to stress this, that was partially my fault. Not only did I decide to stay as a proofreader for 1.2, 1.3, and 2.1, I was convinced that I couldn't do more. And that's kind of the barrier you come up against, almost like an imposter syndrome, in the sense that I shouldn't do more because I'm not allowed. And you give yourself all these justifications for it. And that holds you back without you realizing that you're holding yourself back. I didn't have that freedom to feel like I can do that. I felt I had to, in essence, wait my turn, stay in my lane. Now, though, I have that opportunity. I have that artistic, I don't want to say artistic license, because that's a little bit of a weird phrase. I can tell the story that I want to tell, and it doesn't detract from EoJ. It actually enhances it, I want to say. And having that freedom and having a surprising a lot of people who are all for it has made me feel a lot more confident in that. It's made me feel like I'm not stepping over anybody's toes here. In fact, people want to help bring this to life. It makes me feel not only more involved, but like my involvement is justified. Like, this is not going to be a mistake. I will not make the same mistakes in the past, because now we are doing something where I have stakes in it. And I want to do it right by us, by the story, and by myself. You know, to do right by what I believe in. And I think that's been the most rewarding thing.
Okay. That's, I think, more than a reasonable, motivation / thing to be proud of.
If you want to be more specific and funny, 326. Just saying. There it is.
He held back for so long.
Saying. Hey guys, episode 2, scene 6 is my favorite thing ever in EoJ so far, and probably will be that for a while. Hey, it's my favorite. It's been the most rewarding to see people love my daughter. I'm really happy that they love my daughter. I love my daughter. I'm talking about equity, by the way. Hopefully chat knows that.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
It's so over.
It is so over. Ah, well, that wonderful little diatribe by Jarvy there. We're now going to open up to the questions from the audience. To do this, once more, you must be in the Discord. It is just for simple logistic purposes. So if you have a question, you are free to jump into the question vetting channel, which is located just below this one, and one of my moderators will help you out with...
I love the fact that you're keeping the "she hates me" image just on display.
It's staying there until... Well, actually, you know what? Whilst we're waiting for some questions, let's go through some other things that you've got inspiration for. So, Jarvy.
Yeah.
You mind explaining this for me? He needs to go to the stream now. He's not got the stream.
Oh man.
You might explain.
It's like a scrap of paper. I'm trying to read it, but something's come over my eyes. A bit of a shimmer, a bit of a gleam of uncertainty. I'm not sure. What am I looking at? Nishi? Sounds like Nishi.
You know what this is. You know exactly what this is.
I don't know. Roll perception or insight.
You score a natural 20. Congratulations.
See? Don't
now
worry
you know
about
exactly what it is. So do tell this this particular quote, shall we say? What is inspired by this? Because you obviously must have had some literary
if I had
inspiration.
to guess, and I'm only guessing because I'm not quite sure, it looks like it's some kind of pseudo-philosophy. They're talking about slaves, so they consider themselves slaves. They question crown, so monarchy, so anti-monarchists. Bake in the sun, freeze in the dark. If we continue the equestrian analogy, it's probably talking about Celestia and Luna, and based on the wording there, they consider them oppressors in some capacity. I think we're dealing with the brony fandom. I think, I mean, you know how they feel about, the princesses and saying like they're useless after season 1. I don't know. So, if I had to guess, sounds like a load of brony cringe, as they say.
Can't argue with that. Let's take another inspiration briefly. So, you mind talking about this wonderful memes you've sent me a couple of times?
So this one, I think, I'm pretty sure you and I are the only ones on the team who really know this.
Mm-hmm.
There's this game that G introduced me to. He knows this. I don't know why I'm saying it in third person, as though he's not in the room with me. He's not, or is he?
I'm not real. I'm just an imagination.
There's this game. It's a visual novel. It's called Katawa Shoujo. We've used a couple songs in some of our episodes already, actually. It's a cute visual novel. It precedes, I think it precedes DDLC, but it's weirdly connected to it, I think in terms of like the fan base or whatever. There's a character that you can romance named Lily Sato. And she was the one that, I mean, she wasn't my first in my first run, but she was the second run, and I was like, she's my favorite. And G disagrees heavily. He thinks I'm wrong, and I'm like, well, shut up, kid, because I am older than you.
By like a couple of months at best, and it's just because you're older, that just means you've had more bad experience, or you've made more mistakes than I.
Yeah, one of them hearing your shitty opinions about this game, apparently.
Oi, I know exactly what is a good character. We are going to start a battle here.
Anyway, the meme that G has put up is, the two memes actually, they're all about how Lily is the best character. Don't read the Spanish. Don't, because he can't. And any other opinion, it's okay to have an opinion that's wrong. We're all friends, ? Here, but Lily's the best. And that's my explanation, G. I'm not going to say any more because, forget you. Shut up, kid. Go back to Emmy.
I'm going to put this back up on the screen now because you're so mean to me.
He's so mean. He hates me.
He's so mean. He hates me.
Everyone hates me. I don't know why.
He hates
Just because I'm the real villain of EoJ and I'm responsible for hurting a lot of people. Oh, wait a minute. That's actually more true than... I was saying that as a joke, and then I realized, well, 2, 9, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 5. But, that's true. I am the real villain.
You are a villain, but you're not the...
So many villains.
We've got enough. We've got enough of them, I'd say. I'd say we've got some very good ones, some very exciting ones. How many of them can we spoil today? None! That's how many.
Ashtray. He's gonna make a return, guys.
Oh, don't. Please, no.
This is not even a spoiler, guys. Ashtray's gonna make a return. I'll see to it. He'll become an alicorn. He'll take the alicorn amulet and become an alicorn, and he's gonna be my new favorite OC named Bad Guy Dude Man.
Bad guy,
Princess Bad Guy Dude Man.
Oh no, Jarvy! Why are you like this?
He's gonna become Ashtray Sombra Tray.
I feel like I regret ever letting you near the writing team now, just for those statements alone.
Technically speaking, it wasn't up to you.
Yeah, no,
The
that's a
initial.
fair point.
I'm just saying.
I don't have any strong feelings one way or
I've
the other anymore.
befuddled him. I've completely
Maybe.
bewildered him. I've assaulted
Maybe.
him with language and shut his brain down psychically. All part of the plan.
Right. Okay. Speaking of shutting my brain down, I should shut down our just banterous behavior right now, and prepare to take a question. So let me just quickly do some stuff. Question person. I should have done this well in advance. I really should have, but I didn't. So.
We are a semi-professional production, everyone.
Are we?
Well, I write it on my resume, so...
You wrote it on your resume?
That's how I got my job.
Did you? You have a job?
Yeah, it's amazing that I have a full-time job, and I work on this production pretty much full-time too. Wow, guys, no. I'm busy. What's a break? I don't know.
Well, the first question is going to come from Retrover.
Okay. Hi, Retro.
Hi. Yeah, I am Retro, and I have a question for you. I'll have to put out the final question for later. Just one question. How many hours of sleep have you put up just to finish the project?
Yeah. How many hours have I lost, or how many have I tried to gain? Or both?
How many hours of sleep have you lost when finishing a project?
Too many. There is okay, I'm going to tell you a really funny and kind of sad story. Way back when, I think it was 2-3. It probably was 2-3. I woke up in the middle of the night with just this, like, heart-piercing amount of anxiety in me. And I couldn't for the life of me explain why. I went to my phone because somebody told me that something had happened on my phone. I opened it up, I went to Discord, and I saw that someone was telling me to write 40 pages worth of Zecora lines. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had to go to school in like 4 hours. So I lost a lot of sleep that night, and to this day, that's been my favorite lack of sleep experience with EoJ. And it lives rent-free in my head as one of the darkest times because it was literally quite dark out. It was fall, I think. And yeah, I lost a lot of sleep from that. And then afterwards, that was the initial thing. And then after that, when we had to actually go and work out the 40 pages worth of Zecora lines and dying because rhyming is hard, I lost even more sleep. I was staying up probably longer than I should have in the middle of doing college work, getting my honors thesis together, and finishing life. I can't give you a quantifiable number, but I can tell you that it was pain, it was torture. Was it worth it? That was just one episode. Not really. But I won. We got 40 pages worth of Zecora lines, guys. Now I'm very sensitive to listening to Zecora, because I can tell when it's just not a good rhyme. It's great.
There you go.
I hope that answers your question.
So, I understand how you lost, how you emptied your powerhouse of energy.
Coffee helps. Coffee helps retain it. Tea helps retain it. Music also helps retain it when I'm not working on writing.
Yeah, that's the question I have for you for now. Oh boy,
well,
teasers.
We'll find out more later then. Thank you very much, Retrover. Appreciate it. Okay. And now, the next person to ask a question is one that you will know. Arts.
Who's that? I've never met this person in my entire life.
True. Who would know them? Hi there, Arts. You are muted. Now you are unmuted. Ask that question.
Oh my god, it's Jarvy.
Oh my god.
The EoJ villain. Wow.
Who are you? Do I know you? Do we know each other? Have we ever met ever at any point of time?
You kind of sound familiar, but I can't quite place it. Anyways, As a writer, you know characters inside and out.
Yes.
So, if you could play any character from EoJ, which one would you pick?
Like OC or any?
Any
assuming
character
OC.
from EoJ is your OC in
Oh,
EoJ.
wow. Well, I'm really fond of Gallery Pony 6 and his famous line, "Wait a minute, a member of the Royal Guard was a blackmailer?" Because I voiced him. I think, I can't remember what episode, 2.4, 2.7, who knows?
Oh, you don't even remember when you contributed to this. This is
It's been 2
disgraceful.
years, G. Give me a break. No, but not, to give a more serious answer, I can't answer it because that's spoilers.
Well, obviously, don't leak anything.
Don't leak anything.
From what we've already seen, from what the audience
From what we've
knows.
already seen,
Yeah.
Philo might be a little fun.
Oh. You know, I had a feeling you were gonna say that. And I have a
You know,
little surprise for you.
Oh no.
Now you get to do it! Yay! This is your
Oh boy. I mean, wasn't I already doing it when I wrote in that one thing from 326 where I had him talk about the skeletons in the closet and he went on this weird, interesting speech that gutted Apollo, and then he gutted Equity? I mean, I guess I'm already doing it. I'm already Philo Reed, everyone. Hi! I'm him. He's me. He lets me be a little dramatic and also speak very not conversationally.
Sure, you're not gonna give us a line.
I'm not gonna give you the line because I don't think I can deliver it that well. I'm also trying to remember which one. Which
Go
one?
on.
There's like so many good lines from
You
Philo.
Give it a try.
At all
Is that
times.
so? Or have you forgotten, while you stood here in your lonely, austere office, your predecessor, your mentor?
Wow. That was beautiful.
I think I should be a voice actor. I'm going to quit my job as a team leader of the writers and use my shitty mic to voice.
I think I'm gonna cast you as the backup for Philo.
Awesome. Fantastic. We basically sound the same. I sound exactly like how Philo presents.
Yes, because you wrote him. He's
I also
basically-
studied
that's
him
you.
and said, we're not going to do it in the old way. We're going to make it new, in the words of Ezra Pound.
Boo. Get off the
Boo.
stage.
He doesn't
Any
like
other
it
thing
when I
you want to
reference-
ask? Art? Any,
that is it for now. Also.
For now. Oh, I look forward to hearing from you again, person I've never met ever in my life. Who are you?
326.
What a lovely individual. I don't know who
what
they
a
are or
wonder-
how I have any relation to them.
If only we knew.
If
Up
only.
next we have Jarvy, who I've accidentally just dropped out of the TV momentarily. Gabby Shy, I should say, sorry. Whoa.
Hello? Wait.
It's Gabby. I've never met this person in my life either, totally. We've never had any communication.
When I was in the hospital, we played Pony Frame Guesser.
Yeah. Did we? Did we win? I don't think we won.
I think, it was me and, I think it was me and Arts, and you just so happened to join in.
I joined in the middle of it, yeah. So I lied. We've totally had communications before, but, or maybe I'm lying.
Yeah, we
right
totally
now.
didn't meet at Everfree.
We totally didn't meet at Everfree. Gabby, me, Arts, we totally never met. There are no pictures of me on the internet with Gabby or Arts ever. Why would
Yeah, it's
there
totally not in my vlog. Shameless plug.
You have a vlog? Oh my god, you should shamelessly promote it here. What is your question, Gabby?
What?
That's the psychic damage taking hold. Sorry, it's past.
Sorry, I just had a stroke in the middle of this.
Nice
What
fact.
is your favorite Ace Attorney game and why?
Oh god, of the limited selection that I've played. Just kidding, I've played 5 of them. Great Ace Attorney 2, because that's, I'll give you 2 answers. One is funny and one is genuine. First answer is because it's the most recent Ace Attorney game I played, so it's still fresh in my mind 2 years in. 3 years in. 2021 is when it came out? Oh my god, I'm old.
We're getting old.
I am an old
Time is an
old
illusion.
man. So that's my jokey answer for reason why. But why I actually enjoyed it, why it's my favorite, I found that it wrapped up the things that the Great Ace Attorney 1 did in a really nice way. And I found that to be more compelling. Most people think sequels are weirdly weak to compared to the original, unless you're, I guess, The Empire Strikes Back or Indiana Jones and the Mountain of Doom.
The Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I was like, which one is it? But yeah, I mean, I liked it because all the things that I liked in Great Ace Attorney 1 carried over into the Great Ace Attorney 2. Not just the music, but also the story, the characters, the difficulty in some fashion. And then also just the sense of triumph at the end. I thought that was like a really poignant but also hopeful way to end the series.
Poignant? Sorry,
yeah.
Poignant, you mean?
Poignant.
You said poignant. I'm sorry, I heard poignant.
Purple.
No.
Purple?
No.
Purple.
No.
Purple.
No.
No. But yeah, that's why the Great Ace Attorney 2 is my favorite of the games that I've played. It's kind of a cop-out answer because technically you could classify the two games as one big game split into two parts. But why do that when we can be original?
Exactly. Okay. Also, I just want to say I hate you because since I was literally just about to record some stuff, and then I heard, all right, we're moving on to audience questions. I'm like, crap.
What can I say? I planned this just to make everybody's lives more miserable.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why we all missed MatPat's final theory.
Oh yeah, that was an awkward realization. But hey, that's just a theory.
Theory.
Okay, theory. Thanks for watching. Oh well, I kind of quickly caught the end of it. It was quite wholesome. Thank you,
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Daddy.
Okay, up next is going to be a person. Once I can grab their link.
Wow.
A person.
We're so progressive. We invite people and non-people. That's awesome.
I know. We're so inclusive of people and non-people. Up next is Israel Yabuki.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good. How are you? Is that your question?
I'm alive. I am alive, and that is what counts right now.
Yeah. Okay, so my question is, Jarvy, out of all the cases in EoJ and Ace Attorney, which case would you say kept you at the edge of your seat? Like, which one was the most intense?
Fourth one from Great Ace Attorney 2. I remember because I was literally DMing our other writer, James, about it when I was playing through. I was like, what? Huh? Wait, they can't just end here, right? This got to go into something big, and it did. That one was like, oh god, I actually got... My thing about me is I'm really bad at completing games. Not because I'm bad at playing them. Haha, that's so arrogant to say. But like, I will get tired or I'll take a break, and then I'll forget to start up again. Great Ace Attorney 2, Case 4, was one of those rare instances where I was like, I literally can't stop. I have to go and finish this game now. So I went and did. So I would say like that would be the case that got me on the edge of my seat. Especially since, it led so nicely into the final case. And made me feel really good about completing it, which is an interesting feeling. Now, if you're talking about like an EoJ, I can't speak to that, but I guess technically speaking, case 2, because it's the longest one. Kept me on the edge of my seat, thinking, are we ever going to finish this stupid thing? I've been here for 2 years. Oh dear lord. Oh my god. We're only at 2.5 on the 1-year anniversary of 2.1. I was like, I want to cry. So that kept me on the edge of my seat. Mostly from impatience, but same difference.
You see.
Brilliant.
Well, anyways, thanks. And also keep up the good work. I appreciate all the hard work you and the rest of the team always do for this project.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm glad that we can keep doing good work.
Agreed.
Take care now.
You too, as well. Thank you very much. Okie dokie. Right. We should have another question momentarily from a person, but they seem to be a little bit missing in action. So I'm going to ask you a question, Jarvy. Number between 1 and 10.
7 seems like a good choice.
Okay. Who is the best OC in case 3 that you can name thus far? And if you
Equity.
can't name, okay, that's
a bad question.
Get off the stage.
It's a little too easy. Sorry. Should I give you a different number?
I'm disappointed. I was hoping that you'd give me a little bit more to work, but no, I see how it is. Yeah, just see how it is. You just
want
don't
me to explain why I think equity's the best? Because I can't, because technically spoilers. 5. Number 5. What's the 5th question?
Number 5. What is the 5th question? What is a question? What is the most out there idea you have suggested for the project series or the writing? Just what? When have you gone full chaos?
Oh man, that's a good question. Let me think about this. Well, what comes to mind immediately is making Philo gay. I think, I mean, again, it was a while ago, but my initial supposition with that was, is this going to be like, not really allowed, but like, is it going to make sense and how I explain why I want him to be this way? I'd say that was definitely out there because, again, even though Philo appeared in 285, he didn't really have anything to him other than, he's a weird detective dude. And any initial planning about what was wanted to do with him was kind of thrown out the window when we realized that there's not much there beyond, just take the dude from my little investigations and put him in. But definitely, I think, you may have to correct me, when I initially suggested in, I think, the writing team, I was like, what if we made him, a little fruity? That's probably really out there, just in terms of like, everybody's talking regularly, we're just talking about square ideas and what to do next, and I just throw in, hey, what if Philo was gay? Pause for 20 minutes as I go to make breakfast or something, come back, and no one said anything, and it's kind of like, well, have I just shot myself in the foot? Then I'm asked to elaborate, and I give my reasons, and we're like, yeah, let's see what happens. So I'd say that's like probably the most out there.
You didn't have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
My plan.
Implemented.
I did have a plan. But however, in order to implement the plan, I have to... Step 1, what if Philo was gay? Step 2, question mark, question mark, question mark. Step 3, profit. So I had a plan, I just needed to get to step 1.
Well, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I mean, in all retrospect, Philo being gay is probably one of the greatest changes that we have made thus far, and I am very happy to keep going along that line. It's just, there's too much meme potential there. There's so much meme potential, it's great.
There's so much meme potential.
But I can't trust you anymore, it seems, to do things. So I'm going to have to take a question myself. I got a picture, Jarvy. You may have seen it in this studio that you're in right now.
Oh no.
It's called Somber Turning Page. Do you like Somber Turning Page?
No.
Why not?
Stupid. It's gimmicky. It speaks, what's the term? It smacks of edginess without substance. It's dark without being compelling. It is immature, but hides under the supposed veneer of maturity by embracing the long-standing fan tradition, if not just in this fandom, but in many other fandoms, of making child characters bad. So it's not, I don't like it.
And I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure what your problem is. I
thinker.
think it's a wonderful concept. Like, it's
You
it
like it
adds
so much.
so
Why don't
much
you have Turning
depth.
Page write about it in his journal while he's off to military school, thinking about how he's going to become a royal guard and go steal the Alicorn amulet and transform into this, I don't know, what do you call it, revolutionary head who's going to lead a rebellion against the crown in order to dismantle it, him, his Alicorn amulet, and his hormones. You're
Poor
right.
old-
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Poor old
You know what? Ignore
turd.
me.
Also, hormone. That's a very particular phrase to use, John. Now that I think about it. What, you're going to blame the fall of the equestrian crown on one guy going through puberty? Such shame. Such shame. Such shame.
In ancient China, that was actually more common when you consider how young some of the people who overthrew the government and the emperor and the empire and the Han and the Qin and all of these dynasties, when you consider how young some of them were, hormonal. I'm just saying, it's not out of the realm of belief. It's just really weird, dude. It's really weird.
Yes. It is an interesting decision. But what isn't an interesting decision? Taking a question from our next audience participant.
Oh, nice segue.
So good at this. I'm 2 cups down and I've still got half a bowl to go. Woo!
I'm
All
keeping
right.
him hostage.
Up next, we have Lightning.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm here.
You are.
How are you this evening? Well, here in the UK this evening, anyway.
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know about G. He seems despondent, but
He's
Okay.
drinking
Sorry
again.
about. I've got all I need. I've got Festival of Friendship next weekend. I've got alcohol, and I've got
Yeah, I
a
got-
comfy
yeah, hold on.
bed.
I'll be taking care of him at Festival of Friendship.
all right.
I'm a non-drinker, so I got to look after him.
Awesome. As long as you're taking care of him and I'm not, I don't need him throwing up on my shoulder.
We need a director for this series to continue.
That's true. However, we can take a break. Whatever that is. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I'm told that's a buzzword.
Right, anyways, my question is, what is the best fan fiction you wrote or you have read in either the MLP or either Ace Attorney?
Oh, man. Can I answer both what I've written and what I've read?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to toot my own horn. You've now unlocked a terrible, terrible thing.
Oh, gee, what have I done?
So, full disclosure, everyone, I write fanfics. Have been. Mostly just ponyfics, because this is the main fandom that I'm in. I wrote a story called The Parable of the Toy Maker. You can find it on fanfiction.net with that name. It is a Generation 5 story, but I wrote it in a way that doesn't make it feel like it's strictly Generation 5. I don't think it really matters too much. And it's my favorite thing to have written on that site. It's a little short. It's only like 13,000 words and 7 chapters, so it's not even that long. And it was just a really sweet story. It was something that came to me in the senior year of my college experience one evening. And it was one of those things where I was like, I thought of it. I thought of the opening sentence, and then I somehow knew the entirety of the story, which is very rare for writers to have when they have that kind of clarity. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's about this daughter of a toy maker who receives this order to make the I guess the figurines you see in the beginning of the Generation 5 film. And this is my attempt to explain where those came from. This is before we had Tell Your Tale and Make Your Mark. It's one of my most highly regarded stories there. I've got a couple reviews that seem to really like it. Some people were crying apparently, and I was like, that's always a good thing. And crying in the good way, not like the, oh god, this is awful, why did I subject myself to this way? So yeah, that's my favorite story to have written for the MLP fandom. Favorite story that I've
nice.
read? It's a tough question. I have a lot.
Don't we all?
There's this one story called Starlight Over de Trot, a noir tale. It's really long. It's like 3.2 million words, so it is perfectly understandable if one, you've never heard of it, or two, you've never read it, because it's very long, longer than Fall of Equestria. I think it's a lot better than Fall of Equestria, though. It's a mystery story set in, obviously, the city of the Trot. It has the staples of a hard-boiled fiction, but then it very quickly turns into this huge conspiracy, eldritch horror sort of combination of genres. And yet what makes it most compelling isn't the plot, but just how compelling the characters are, how awesome, how, this word is going to sound a bit of an oddity, but how human the characters are. I would rate it higher than some of the generally highest regarded long fics in the pony fandom. I'd rate it higher than Fall of Equestria, Anthropology, any of these really long stories. I'd say you don't need to read those. You need to read Starlight Over the Trot now, because I think you'll find something in there that you'll really like. And it's really good. It's dark but not edgy. It's violent but it's also peaceful.
I quite like the dark fanfics.
To get at the end, and it really compels you to keep going.
I see. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And when you're at it, go check out The Parable of the Toy Maker by Jarvy Jared.
I will.
Shameless shell. Thanks,
You
Lightning.
asked me.
No.
See you next week.
See you next week, Bridger, but you can't cut me off this
Bye,
time.
Lightning. Take care. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, we're going to go back to someone we've already seen because they have
Oh my
another
God.
question. They
A return.
really want to ask you a question. Up next again is R.
I'm back.
Oh my god. It's Rarity.
It's Twilight.
Who's that?
Seriously.
I don't... All your purple horses look the same to me.
Rarity isn't purple. She has purple
So you admit
hair.
that it was Rarity. I caught you in your lie.
Well, let's just forget about that. Jarvy, do you have any hidden talents besides singing in Spanish?
I have talent?
Yes.
I think, the phrase hidden talent necessitates suggesting that I have actual talent. However, that itself is kind of dubious at best. It also necessitates that I somehow know any of my hidden talents besides singing Spanish. I guess one of them is I have a pretty good green thumb.
Gardening.
I take care of a couple of plants in my room. Philodendrons, pothos. I have this amaryllis plant that did really well when it bloomed, and it's still doing really well even though right now it's out of its flower season. And I take care of a couple of the other ones around our house. And yeah, I've been doing that since the pandemic began, and apparently I have a real natural gift for it, especially compared to my mother, who kills every plant that she's tried to care for, which is why I've kind of taken on caring for her succulents and other things. So I'd say that's a hidden talent.
Yeah. Also, we need to hear your Spanish singing again.
Oh, give me $20.
Oh, dang it. Thought I could get it.
Finalmente ha pasado. Yo no seré jamás. Si no son capaces de ambas dos amar. Hoy la luna brilla y reclamará los cielos, reinará. Contemplaréis a todos la bría oscuridad cuando el mundo se envuelva en mi arrullo sin final. Así que buenas noches, el sol nunca volverá. Mañana habrá penumbra, mi noche sin final. There you go. $20 is $20.
Alright, I'll Venmo after.
My Cash App is.
Cash App, fine.
Here you go.
He's so Cash App. Well, whilst
He's
you two
so-
engage in your offline exchange, wow, I'm so good at this. I need
need
to
to go to
quickly
sleep.
fire us to another person who asked you a question. Back to Gabby.
Oh boy. Oh my god, it's Gabby. We've never met before. I already did this joke. Hello? Oh boy, RTC.
Discord! Thank you, Discord. So, may need to.
Gabby, are you there?
Oh, it's our activity. Gabby?
Oh no. I'll
no.
read your mind from afar. Ready?
If
Your next
If this
question is
I was going to say, maybe best just to type it. Who is best
who
pony? Is the
is
question.
best pony? Well, there are a lot of opinions there. And, I think there's been some attempt at scientific study to prove once and for all who is best pony. And I've read a couple of studies, and at some point I sat down and looked through all the official documentation. And based on my readings, these are these are all published in literary and sociological papers and journals everywhere. You can go find them online and in DOIs and all that, and NCBI if you want to go there. The best pony, hands down, scientifically speaking and definitively proven, Rarity. I will not take any constructive criticism or any criticism because this is just scientific fact. Sorry.
Boo.
What do you mean, boo? You like Rainbow
Boo.
Dash because you're stupid and you have two brain
No,
cells
no,
that
no,
are
no,
fighting
no,
for
no,
third
no,
place.
no.
Rarity is so much better. Rarity
No,
is
she
so
is. She
much
hasn't
better.
got a character. Oh, look at the
She
dress.
has more character than Rainbow Dash.
Oh, the dresses. Oh, the
Oh
dress.
my god, this man has not watched the show if he thinks that this is just Rarity. What, did you grow up on the abridged series thinking that's actually how it was written?
I have watched since season 2, thank you. And if all
wow,
I can
and
think
your
of,
brain sucks if you can't remember
Look,
that she actually
I
has
won't hide that
character?
every
Wow.
character it can be
Wow.
reduced to either
Wow.
cupcakes,
Wow.
flying for the Wonderbolts, dresses,
Hey,
apples.
28 pranks
The
later
other
kind
one,
of suck,
magic.
and Rainbow Dash has the worst ratio of good to bad episodes in the history of the show. Rarity is either mid at best or great in everything else, and you, my sir, are wrong.
Ladies,
please.
we all know Punk is the best.
Who?
All right. On to the question. I was just kidding. So, Jarvy, what is the biggest story? What story polarized your life the most? A book you've read or anything of that nature? What story changed you the most as a person?
Oh man, he's coming at me with the harder questions. What story?
Hey, author to
What do you mean,
author.
like, change as a person? Like, change me as a writer? Change me as a person? Or heck,
Person.
change
Like you yourself.
Dang. Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon is the first and probably only story that made me cry.
Oh, God, I'm with you.
It's
Oh, you brought it up and I immediately feel it.
Yep. I don't remember when I first read it. It's probably middle school. Honestly, I don't know if that was the best time to read it, but yeah, that was the only. I don't want to say only because it's possible that I've cried to other stuff too, but in terms of like raw memory and what affected me the most by the end, Flowers for Algernon was definitely that.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's read it, you know what I mean. And if you haven't read it, go find a copy from your library somewhere. It hurts. It feels really good, but also it really hurts.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
Hopefully that answers
So,
your
Ink,
question.
you have your notifications turned on, and I am very upset with you for that fact. Who keeps their Discord notifications on, man? Why? Why do
That was me.
yourself?
Oops, I'm sorry. I am paying.
I am also paying. But thank you very much for your question. Thank you very much for being the bailiff on duty tonight as well.
Not a problem. Anytime.
Okay. Jarvy, that's all the questions I think we can take today. We've gone out of this for quite a while, and I'm running out of juice, so I think it's time we start preparing
yeah, you are out of energy. Yes, totally. Not that
I
you
am
have a drinking
so out of
problem.
energy. I do want to get a couple of things, though, to kind of show that I didn't get a chance to. First of all, you were helpful in designing the roadmap sort of process we had, and there's a nice little sort of thing on the screen for everybody there to engage with.
Yeah, they can totally read that.
Oh, yeah, you can easily. I can read that. But
I can't read it.
well, then tough for you. What was it like doing all the proto roadmap drafting for Case 3? Or up to a certain episode number?
I don't want to say fun, but it also was kind of fun, but it's hard to articulate what made it fun. Satisfying. It felt nice to have visible an actual structure. Compared to the weird process that was Case 2, where, I didn't know half of the details until like 2.5, and then even then I had like a quarter of details I just didn't know until way after the fact. Admittedly, this is different because, I'm actually helping to line it all up, and I'm writing it myself, so of course I have that information available. But, there's a sense of relief. There's a sense of satisfaction that comes with designing and developing the story in this fashion. I think that the writers and a lot of other people who've seen these pro maps, they've been really helpful. Bruno especially has been very complimentary in saying that, this has been really good for his understanding of sort of the intent that we're going for with a lot of these stories. And I think that, helped him with his video editing, and hopefully has helped his team too. So I'd say that, yeah, satisfying is the most compelling, appropriate word that I can use here.
Oh, and that makes sense. It's definitely great to have a plan, and I'd encourage anyone who is planning to do a thing like this to plan ahead on what they plan to do. The last thing to obviously highlight is obviously music. We didn't talk a lot about it this EoJ talk, which is quite surprising, but you helped with the OST design, and is there anything you want to kind of add about music in general?
I can kind of talk a little bit about what my process, how I learned, and how I kind of conceptualized learning it. So I think I've said this before. I don't have experience actually with formal theory or formal music production. It was very much, it's becoming a pattern with me in EoJ, a spur of a moment, becoming a musician for the team, and then becoming team leader, which is really funny. My understanding of music is actually, I don't even know if this is necessarily correct. It comes from my understanding of poetry. There's this thing in poetry called, and not just poetry, but literature, called defamiliarization. And it has a lot of applications, uses, and definitions, but if you look at it in terms of poetry, it's this idea that the really good poems do something to defamiliarize the language that they're using. And this is something that supersedes all forms, rhymes, sonnets, whatever. It's something that Keats wrote about technically with negative capability. This is my understanding of poetry that has led me to sort of understand how, at least I, compose music. I have a key, I have a structure in mind. Yes, that's all very good and simple. If you just stay in that key, though, and don't do anything interesting, the song ends. And at least for the kind of music that we make for this series, you don't want the music to end, right? You want it to loop, obviously, but you want it to have that sort of momentum. So understanding that one of the goals that you have as a musician, at least for me, is to make sure that you don't terminate the song too early. To do that, you have to understand the concept of defamiliarization of the key that you choose, and also like the chords that you have in the song, and then use that information to propel the song forward again. And that's been helpful with regards to a lot of these tracks. Surprisingly, I have now used intertextuality in real life now, because I pulled from one discipline and put it into the other. But yeah, that's generally, I could go into more detail obviously, but we're running out of time here. TLDR, poetry helped me compose music. Even though these are not related, I made them relate in my head, and now we have, oh my god, 50-something tracks.
So much music. It's almost like you've been working on songs for a couple of years, and even some tracks for up to a couple of years.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't been obsessing with one track for 2 years straight. God.
I'm going to keep finding faults in it as well. I'm going to keep making your life miserable.
Faults. I can't win.
Now, a couple of things that I need to talk about, because I feel like it's rude. So, for everybody who heard me, I did mention that we were going to Festival Friendship, and Festival Friendship is a convention happening in Southampton next weekend. Still tickets, still availability, but I have something very special that I want to show off. Those of you who went to UK PonyCon and even supported Cadet will know that we made an enamel badge of a particular attorney's badge. But what if we went a step further and made another badge? What if we made a certain Equestrian High Council badge? Something that may or may not be available at the upcoming convention. And an example of what that may look like is on the screen right now. So yes, if you are interested, then come along to the convention. And do not worry, there may be even more opportunities later on in the year for an opportunity to get one of these. I won't say where.
Opportunity in this bustling community. And brothers. Traveling sales. I don't know the rest of the song.
He doesn't understand his own song. But yes, now I'm going to take this off the screen because I'm not nice enough to leave it on for everybody. So Jarvy, as is tradition, you brought me a gift. It took you a bit of time, but you brought me a gift. You brought me a typewriter, as I'm sure everybody can see. May I ask why you gave me a typewriter? You know what happens when I put stuff in the script. What is this contraption going to be useful for me?
Broken, so you can't use it.
Oh, that's a valid position, actually. Yeah, that's probably sensible. Well,
That's
Jarvy,
why I gave you a broken typewriter because I know you are so tempted to try and add things, and you know you do add some stuff that really work, like the jokes. 3-1. I'm not gonna say the joke here because I say it too much, and I don't like the fact that I get credit for it when I'm like, I'm not dumb enough to write jokes like that. Well, I'm not G enough to write a joke like that. I will phrase to that. You're asking for the more like thematic reason because I'm a writer. I work in themes. I spent almost 5 years in this production doing writing. It's amazing that I haven't broken more keys in the frustration angle of it all. I give you this gift then as a representation of my enduring spirit as team leader of the writers and team leader of the musicians, that no matter how many broken keys we find on the typewriters, we shall continue to wield language powerfully and responsibly. And that is my commitment as the team leader of the writers. That even if things
very
break,
much appreciated.
I'll do what I can to do what I can.
With broken typewriters and all. Well, I will endure to add stupid jokes. You know, I feel like I could go for a snack at some point.
How about a juice box?
Juice box?
Do you know a mayor?
I may know the juice box mayor, actually. But that's a tale for another time. Now, Jarvy, since you've given me a gift, it's only right that I etch you into the table of this wonderful, wonderful little series. I had to think for a good minute because at one point I wanted to include something related to Katua Shoujo, but I thought that was a bit too on the nose. So instead, Jarvy, I feel like there's only one thing that represents you. There's one thing that your contributions will always add. One thing that truly represents you, if you ask me. So as my appreciation for being my guest today, I'd like to show off what your marking will be for the rest of time on this table.
Not gonna be something really good, guys. I can't.
I'm so happy that you're stunned into silence by my wonderful decisions. Your gift is, reciprocated in kind.
I don't see anything. I don't understand. You have an empty spot on the desk for me, and why? Is this the joke? Do you hate me?
I don't hate you as much as a certain other person hates you, which for everybody
who hates me? Hang on, who hates me? Who?
I don't know. She hates you though.
Why? Why does she hate me? She hates me. Why does Maria hate me? All she ever does every day in and day out is hate me. I don't know why. I don't know what I ever did to earn it. She just started hating me one day and she's never stopped. Maria Moonlight, I'm calling you out on Twitter. We're gonna have a feud.
You hold your feud whilst you indulge in the fact that, yes, you are now represented by this wonderful
I don't know what
creation.
I can't see what you put, G. There's nothing there.
There
but
is
I'm sure
something
that it
of
is
major significance that
important.
will engage everybody in some capacity. But
I don't see it. I think you're gaslighting me, dude. I think you're just lying. I think you're speaking out of your butt.
maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But hey, it doesn't matter if I am or I'm not, because even if I wish to speak more, I think we're unfortunately very much out of time now. So Jarvy, I think it's time that we start wrapping this up, this fun parade, this fun show that we've had. It's been a great time, though. Thank you so much for, being my guest today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you to everyone for attending. Thank you everyone for watching. As always, keep an eye out. I should probably give one more teaser though, shouldn't I? Just for fun. Let's just say that if you come to Festival of Friendship, you may get an exclusive viewing of something before it goes live on the channel. I won't say exactly what it is. I can't tell you what it is. The PR team lead, Trenton, would bully me for such a thing, but let's just say...
You gotta give me,
good.
money.
$20? It's $20 again, isn't it?
It's gone up because inflation. $30, sorry.
Well, there is a special viewing for everybody who attends Festival of Friendship.
Viewing?
So if you can make
For a
it...
funeral now? Haha.
Make it.
I've ruined your bit.
You have ruined my bit. But regardless,
do.
Jarvy, as always, it is time to sign off in the ways that we always do. So are you ready, my dear friend?
This is not gonna line up, but okay.
Who cares? Alright, thank you everybody for watching. And Jarvy, on the count of 3.
Wait, do we go on 3 or after 3?
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Objection.
Objection!
He's so